Hello, my name is Jumbles Gaming. I'm doing a QB tier list, and yes, it's pretty common nowadays, apparently, that we're doing this stuff. Obviously, you can see the website. I got inspired by this because the Goat House, and let's just say I didn't like their tier list, even though I love the Goat House. Go subscribe to them. Didn't like it. We're doing a school grade system, and we're doing God Awful, and that's reserved for one specific person, Eli Manning. Why? Besides the fact that it's Elite Manning, the Elite Manning. The dude had a horrible stint, and now he doesn't even have Odell. He had 21 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, which, by the way, it's funny to hear Giants fans say that's a good year. And then 19 touchdowns and 13 interceptions the year before. Obviously, stats aren't everything, but when you have a guy like Odell and can't even have a good year, and you have, arguably a generational running back. I know the O-line's bad, but come on. Eli is a Super Bowl winner. He has everything going for him, yet somehow is not performing. I think it's just time for him to retire. Then the other guy I'm putting in, and by the way, this will be ordered, but not yet, my boy Russell Wilson. I don't think there's any argument. I think there's more argument of where he should be on the A tier. I've seen some people say Wilson is not elite. That is complete baloney. I'm sorry, but it is. The dude is, I think, the winningest quarterback in his first 6 seasons. And I think that continues on to 7. I don't know. I haven't checked. But I'm pretty sure if you're the winningest quarterback in 6 seasons and you're a fringe playoff team, again, in your 7th year, then you're probably still going to be up there. Regardless, pretty sure he's the winningest quarterback for how many years he's played. And that's ignoring the fact that he has almost 200 touchdowns to 60 interceptions, give or take. One of the highest career QBRs in NFL history. And with no O-line. A running back who the year before only had 200 yards. Doug Baldwin, who has been up and down more than anyone, but for an undrafted receiver, he's good. Tyler Lockett, who came out last year. I think it was Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett had a perfect QBR together. Regardless, you get the point. He is a beast. Matt Ryan, he's a tough one. I'm not going to lie. He's a tough one for the simple reason of it's confusing because stat-wise, it looks like he should be an A. But I think we all know he's not an A. Stat-wise, he should be an A, but I think he's more of that B tier. So that, I'd say more of a B+, and the upper B's can be a B+. Upper A is A+, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. I just didn't feel like doing, 10 categories and having 2 quarterbacks in each one. Kind of odd. I get some categories having 1, like Eli, because he is horrible. Andrew Luck. This one's tough. His last 2 years have been pretty darn good, but not amazing. So I'm thinking, don't hate me because I know some people think Andrew Luck is elite, but I think he's in that B tier with Matt Ryan. That's just my personal opinion. Mitch Trubisky. Ooh boy, he's a hot topic. Mitch Trubisky. 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and 3,200 yards last year. Way better than the year before. He had the reverse sophomore slump everyone's afraid of. He's tough, because if you'd have asked me last year, he'd probably be in this tier. Asked me this year, he'd probably be in this tier. I gotta put him in the D tier, though. That's not saying he's a bad quarterback, and that's not saying he can't go up to the C or even B tier, depending on his development. But he's only had 1 good year, and I'm going to give the same critique to Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes had a way better year, so don't hate on me. To give you a perspective, that would be below average. because C is average, as would assume. And then that's just replace now kind of quarterback, which they got a quarterback to replace him, but it was Daniel Jones, so we're just going to lie low on that one. Here's someone I might skip over, Jared Goff. He's a toughie. Because 1 minute, I think he's, B tier. The next, I think he's C tier. I like Jared Goff. I have him over Wentz, to be honest. But there's the concern of how good is he actually? That's the big question everyone's asking. Because as an Eastern fan, I noticed when a certain slot receiver, and I think even Rams fans and non-Rams fans noticed, once Cooper Kupp was gone, he did not play as well. He had a better year, but a worse end of a year. So I'm just gonna skip over him because I can't decide between these two. I think I have to look at the others first. All right, Joe Flacco. Ooh. I used to be a big Joe Flacco fan just because I love the cannon arm. But my goodness, he has been one of the worst quarterbacks recently, statistically and every sense of the word. So for now, I think I'm going to put him in the top of the F tier for right now because he's been bad. He's been, honestly, arguably just as bad as Eli Manning, except Eli Manning had more receiver talent, so Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Odell Beckham Jr., if you can't perform with that kind of receiving talent, and I'm not even saying, insane yards, insane touchdowns, because I know he has an O-line problem. I know the defense isn't amazing. But at least stop throwing so many picks when you have so many good receivers to throw to. My goodness, talk about forcing the ball. Ooh boy, here's someone that doesn't make sense to me QBR-wise. 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, Derek Carr. How does he have such a high QBR? I assume it has to do with completion rating, because I believe the completion rating has a huge impact, even more so than touchdown-interception ratio, which I think is odd, because I'd rather someone throw more incompletions than picks, to be honest. But what do I know? I think I gotta put Derek Carr in the D tier for right now. Obviously, I will explain if I think they have the potential to go up. Like Trubisky's the main one I think that can go up a tier. I think Derek Carr can go maybe to C tier, maybe fall down to F tier. I think Flacco can go down to Eli tier because Eli has the benefit of age is his problem, or part of his problem. Plus, it's going to be tough for someone like Derek Carr to perform better when you have John Gruden, who is more of an old school coach. So that's going to be a problem. Deshaun Watson. Here's the thing. I like finding quarterbacks that people didn't like. And when everyone was hyped up on Watson, I was like, nope, he's going to be a bust. Second everyone started disliking him, I'm like, there's a chance he could do. Because I saw him starting to fall. And I'm like, now it might be worth it to pick him up. So I was one of those people. It wasn't like I didn't like him or disliked him. But I also have to say that I think I like where he was picked. Because I don't think he's an amazing quarterback. I don't think he's a horrible quarterback. Statistically, he's been alright. His QBR has been amazing, which is odd because I don't see where it is for the touchdown to interception ratio. I kind of see it from this last year. The year before that was, I think Deshaun Watson, I think he's upper C tier for now. That doesn't mean he can't get better. I think he has a pretty good receiving corps, so that helps. Tom Brady, I don't even need to explain that one. The question is, where is he? But I think Tom Brady's above my boy Russell Wilson. Even though I love Russell Wilson, Tom Brady is just the GOAT. And my dad will laugh hysterically being a Patriots fan, yes. I had the burden of being created by a Patriots fan. Ugh. Last year was kind of a slump year for him, though. but 2016 and 2017 were crazy years, especially 2016, throwing 2 interceptions. Tom Brady is one of those quarterbacks where it feels like he's never going to age. Ooh, this will be a fun one. Nick Foles. Ooh, boy. Ooh, that's the one that got me heated on the Go House. They put him up in the above average, or like the C plus B minus B tier. Nope. I'm putting him down there. Sorry, Go House, but Nick Foles. Ooh, I am not a Nick Foles fan. Didn't like him all the way back to when he replaced Vic. I thought Vic was the better choice. Granted, neither was the right choice, apparently, because both of them became backup quarterbacks. So it was a lose-lose. But I think Michael Vick would have been the better quarterback to stick with, but they went with Nick Foles. He fell out after like a year. I don't get it. Everyone's hyping him up. He had a 7-touchdown, 4-interception year last year, and a 5-touchdown, 2-interception year the year before that. This guy is not as great as everyone thinks. He does good in the playoffs. Good for him. He had the Eagles team. He played worse than Wentz. Even though Wentz couldn't stay healthy, he's not. I get he's good starting quarterback, but I don't think he's a top tier or above average or even average. I think he's a fill in the gap until you find your guy or develop a guy. And I do like a young quarterback. They have Gardner Minshew. Again, I'm from the state of Washington, so I watch these guys a decent amount. I think Luke Falk was another good quarterback. But I think Gardner Minshew is better. I think Gardner Minshew is clearly better. He brought WSU from mediocrity to a really powerhouse team for a while. Went a bit iffy later in the season, but pretty good. And I think Nick Foles can help develop him. Sam Darnold. Ooh, boy. I was not on the Sam Darnold train. I like Sam Darnold as a person. I like his mentality. I love when people bring up he was the second best statistical rookie or the second best rookie quarterback. What? Lamar Jackson is. He just didn't play as long. Even if he was the second best, that's not saying much. There's only 3 quarterbacks who had a good year if you think Sam Darnold had a good year. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Sam Darnold, who barely threw 2 touchdowns more than picks. I get he's a rookie. Maybe I'm hyped up on rookies because I had Russell Wilson as a rookie quarterback in 2012. I don't know. And then Baker Mayfield was the other quarterback I was high on. And then Jared Goff was the other rookie I was high on, but I thought he got screwed over by old Jeff Fisher, so can't exactly blame the coaching staff as much because you're not getting much better there, so I think I'm going to put him with Joe Flacco. He's not god-awful, but he's not an amazing quarterback. And by the way, this is as of right now. I think he could go up to the C or B tier. But for right now, I think he's in the F tier. Sorry. I'm very harsh with these quarterbacks, so you're going to have to realize that. I am not giving a bunch of guys good ratings just because it makes people happy. Matt Stafford. Ooh, boy. Matt Stafford. I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to put him. He has an 88.4 QBR, 240 touchdowns, 130 picks. By the way, I'm rounding because it just sounds cleaner. Sometimes it makes their stats look slightly worse. Sometimes it makes it look better. But I'm putting him in that big old C tier there. Because sometimes he looks like he could be A tier. Sometimes he could be with Eli Manning in that god-awful tier. He is so inconsistent. The second Megatron left, it's like, oh my goodness. Drew Brees. Breezes. One of my favorite quarterbacks, and I know exactly where I'm putting him. I don't think there's any question as to if he's had an elite career. I think the bigger question is he elite still? And I think it's especially after last year, definitely. He's had a 100 plus QBR the last 4 seasons. In 2018, he had 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for 115.7 QBR. One of the best quarterbacks. I don't know if I'd place him above Russell Wilson or not. I think Russell Wilson's running game puts him above Russell. Or I put Russell above him. My apologies. But I think that's just what it is. Ooh boy, Lamar Jackson. Here's the thing. I think he's in the C tier because we don't know what to expect from him. I think he's going to play better than Trubisky. That's why I think he's up here. I think he's going to outplay all 3 of these guys. Well, here's the thing. The Ravens have a new offense, so he could fall down. So some people are like, oh, he's the next big Michael Vick. He's going to be a B. Or some people are like, he's going to suck. He honestly, I'd put him in this tier right here, in between these two. Because from what we're hearing, he's in a new offense and he's struggling. Which is quite concerning. Alright. Patty Mahomes. Everyone's so hyped up on Patty Mahomes. Sorry, but I'm not putting Patty Mahomes in the A tier without having another year. Phenomenal quarterback. Phenomenal quarterback. If he gives me one more year, I'd say he's a top 2 quarterback after his last year. 50 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. You don't hear about that anymore. I remember Peyton Manning and Tom Brady putting up those stats. Drew Brees putting up those stats. Those are elite quarterbacks when you think of that list. I think Russell Wilson could do it if he wasn't a mobile quarterback and had to rely on his arm more. Or if Seattle threw more. There are 4 quarterbacks in this league I think could do that. Right now, at least. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Patty Mahomes. That's about it. And I think Patty Mahomes is in the B tier because we don't know if that was a full thing. Obviously, Patty Mahomes we know can do it because he has done it. The question is, how will he do without Tyreek Hill? Baker Mayfield, definitely going here. I'm putting Patty up there. In fact, I might put... I don't know who I want. I'm putting Baker at the bottom of B tier, and that's not because I think he's a bad quarterback. I think if he does have a sophomore slump, he's still like a C+, B- tier. If he doesn't, next year we could be talking about how he's an elite quarterback. Ooh boy, Cam Newton. Sorry, but I'm putting him in the C tier. And it's not because I hate Cam Newton. I don't. I'm not a fan of Cam Newton. I think there are better ways to go about things. But he has such an up-down career that, although I think he is arguably the best of that tier, I think he's a C+, borderline B-. I told you, I'm going to be harsh on quarterbacks. And I might have some bias, obviously Russell Wilson, but I think that's pretty unanimous that he's an A, or elite. And then Baker Mayfield, I think it's pretty unanimous he's above average. Outside of that, I'm just being harsh on everyone. So, don't be surprised to see quarterbacks on lower than where you see on most, because I'm pretty harsh with quarterbacks. Mainly because I don't think there should be that many top-tier quarterbacks, because there are only, I think, 3 or 4, maybe 5 elite quarterbacks, and then maybe 5, there should be only 10 above-average quarterbacks, in my opinion, give or take. Kirk Cousins, ooh boy. By the way, Cam Newton, 2017 year, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. I don't care what kind of team you have. That's not okay. Because I don't care if there's low touchdowns and low yards because of O-line or receivers. You shouldn't be throwing picks. That's on you majority of the time. Unless you have the worst receivers in the league and they're all of a sudden dropping. I remember that was a huge problem with RG3 actually, where receivers would drop passes like crazy. that's not a common thing. Kirk Cousins. Ooh boy. I think people are harsh on him, but lenient on him too. The people who like Kirk Cousins think he's just the greatest thing. The people who are harsh on Kirk Cousins think he's horrible. I think he had a better year in Minnesota. I think statistically he had a better year in Minnesota. I think he had better receivers in Minnesota. So there's a multitude of reasons why. So for me, I'm putting him in the C tier because if I think Cam Newton, I'm putting him in probably next to Deshaun Watson. I just don't know if it's above or below. By the way, these lists are not accurate yet. These, so far, I think are pretty close. I might adjust accordingly once I'm finished. But, yeah. So, I think Kirk Cousins, because of his receivers, looks better than Cam Newton and Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson has pretty dang good receivers too, but he doesn't have two. If he had two DeAndre Hopkins, I think you could make that excuse. But Kirk Cousins had Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, two phenomenally talented receivers. Phillip Rivers. I love Phillip Rivers as the person, as the QB. Sucks that he ended up on the Chargers. Could you imagine if he would have been on the Giants while Eli was a Charger? Eli would have no Super Bowl rings and Phillip Rivers might have 2 Super Bowl rings. I think that's a better reality than the one we have. I think especially last year, Phillip Rivers earned the B tier, even if it is the lower B tier, because he does have someone like Keenan Allen, although he gets hurt, and then Melvin Gordon. He has a good offense and a developing defense with Melvin. Did I say Melvin Ingram or Melvin Gordon? Melvin Ingram's on defense, if I did say that by accident. Melvin Gordon's the running back. Joey Bosa, good young talent. Jason Verrett, good young talent. Derwin James, good young talent. A lot of good young talent on that team. The problem is Phillip Rivers isn't getting any younger. Alright, now for an interesting one. Jimmy Garoppolo. Ooh boy. This will be a fun one to talk about. Yoink. Right there. I am not a Garoppolo fan. That's not just because he's on the Niners. I'm a Hawks fan. I'll be honest about my biases if I have them. It is definitely not Jimmy. Jimmy has proven nothing in his career so far. 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. 97.3 QBR. Oh, that sounds alright. That sounds like that could be bottom C tier. Except that's for his career. His last 2 years, 718 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 1,560 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's only had 2 touchdowns more than interceptions the last 2 years in San Francisco. When we were hearing that he was going to be a top-tier elite quarterback. No. And there are some decent receivers here, not here, but in San Francisco. I'm a big fan of Kendrick Bourne. I think Kendrick Bourne's underrated. If you don't know who that is, he is a lower-tier receiver on the Niners. He was trained, in part, by Cooper Kupp. He is a very athletic freak. And then you have Austin Pettis from UW. They love their Washington guys, ironically enough. Very young talent. I think he can be really good. Garoppolo can't stay healthy, then I can't give him an accurate grade, though. And from what I've seen, he's D tier. He's not amazing. He is below average, I'd say. I'll move him around on that, but from there, that's definitely around where he's at. Josh Allen. Whoo boy. Here's the thing. Even though Sam Darnold had a better year, I think Josh Allen showed us more. I think Josh Allen is in that F tier as well, but I think he's above Sam Darnold because even though I like Darnold more than Allen, Allen showed us that he's not just going to throw a million picks. He threw 12 picks. and 10 touchdowns. That's more picks than more picks than touchdowns. So that's a bad look. But considering how most of the rookies played this year, it's not out of the ordinary. It was not a good statistical year for rookie quarterbacks. So I'll give him the pass and the potential. I think he's going to be better this year than Darnold. Jameis Winston. Yoink, I think he's worse than both of them. This year at least. Jameis... I don't know what to say about Jameis because I had him over Mariota, and both of them are horrendous. Okay, they're not horrendous. I shouldn't say that. That's a bit harsh. Actually, I'm going to put them above the rookies. That's not fair. And a Joe Flacco, but that's about it. I think he's the top, and he's an F+ for what that matters. But I think he's just been disappointing. Ironically enough, his worst QBR years, I'd say, were better years. Like 2016 was one of his better years. 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 4,090 yards, 86.1 QBR. Yikes. In a league where the QBR number keeps going up and up and up for quarterbacks, and a league where Jameis had some pretty good talent. I like Deshaun Jackson. I like, what's his name? Adam Humphries. I like Chris Godwin. Obviously, Mike Evans. I don't know what happened there. O.J. Howard. I don't know what's going on with Jameis. I'm a big fan of him. I just don't know what that's all about. Marcus Mariota. Whoo boy. Whoo boy. Even though I was talking great about Marcus Mariota, I'm still going to put Jameis above him. No, I'm not. I'm going to put him above Jameis. Here's what. This dude is so up and down, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't really have a star receiver like Jameis does. Has a pretty good defense, though, so... Great running game. I love Derrick Henry. I love what they're doing with that running game. He's a mobile quarterback, so that's obviously never fun when you can not perform. Carson Wentz. Ooh, boy. Carson Wentz. I'm not going to do Carson Wentz dirty like the Goat House. Sorry for calling shade again, but come on. This dude's at least around here in the C tier, above Nick Foles and above Matt Stafford and Lamar Jackson. I will admit there is some bias negatively towards Carson Wentz for me because I'm an Eastern fan and North Dakota State has kicked our butt every time we've ever tried to do anything good and try to be happy for once in our lives, just to be crushed by the annoying Carson Wentz or Easton Stick or any North Dakota players because North Dakota State is so annoying. Alright, Kyler Murray. I am going to put him above Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's going to have I don't know about a better statistical year. I think he has the potential for a better statistical year than Jimmy Garoppolo will, if he can even stay healthy, Garoppolo. He has Larry Fitzgerald, which is always a benefit. David Johnson, and I think David Johnson will be doing better now that their quarterback can also run. So it's not just David Johnson constantly running. It'll give him some breaks. It'll give him some relaxation. He'll be able to be utilized better in the receiving game because they're going to have to fear multiple people running. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a bit overrated. I think even to this day, even though people are less hyped on him, he's still overrated. Anyways, next up, Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, this is going to heat some people up. B, right behind Patty Mahomes. And I am not sorry about that for a second. I am not sorry about that for a second. Aaron Rodgers, smart quarterback, hasn't thrown 10 interceptions since 2010. He's only done it 2 times in his career, 2010 and 2008. Threw 2 interceptions this year. Very smart quarterback. I'm not questioning that. And part of it's the coach's problem. Mike McCarthy or the new coach. I don't even remember who it is. But they just keep throwing slants. And throwing these rinky-dink easy passes. I know it's the West Coast offense. It's the whole point of it. But Aaron Rodgers isn't really wowing me. By the way, 6 interceptions in 2017, I should say, since technically last year's 2018 now. 6 interceptions. Well, only 1,600 yards. So yes, I know he was hurt. But here's the thing. Even if he was healthy, that's a horrible year. Ooh boy. Case Keenum. The new Redskins quarterback. Ooh boy. Case Keenum. Minnesota, great year. Denver, not so hot. Partly because when you go from Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen to Demaryius Thompson. Oh, never mind. He's gone. Emmanuel Sanders, he's getting old. Who do they have left besides a bunch of young guys that really aren't stars or good yet? Don't get me wrong. They can develop. Cortland Sutton I like. I believe he's on the Broncos. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the Broncos offense. He's probably going into that good old D tier above Jimmy Garoppolo. Because I am not hot on Jimmy Garoppolo, if you couldn't tell. Granted, Jimmy's above quite a few quarterbacks, so apparently I'm not horrible to him. Alright. Garoppolo there. Case Keenum, great year, 2017. This last year, 18 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Not horrible. I think he's going to do better this year. Purely on the fact that he has a better team. I think the Redskins are better than the Broncos on offense. I'm not saying defense. But statistically, he'll have a better year. I didn't say winning, because I think the Broncos' defense is definitely better than the Redskins' defense. But regardless. Alright. Josh Rosen. Ooh, I'm putting him as the top rookie outside of Lamar, and I'm putting him as the 3rd best rookie from last year. Here's why. I think the Dolphins' offense will be good for him. I think he just needed to learn the offense. I think starting late, I think it's more like a Jared Goff situation where I think it was the wrong team. I think he'll do better in Miami. I don't think he'll be nearly as good as Lamar or Baker by a mile. Then again, I think those are the 2 best quarterbacks by a mile. 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 2,278 yards. From what I've seen, was alright. I mean, not amazing stats for having Larry Fitzgerald, the most consistent receiver in the league, probably. Dak Prescott. Yoink. He's going there. I don't know where on this list he'll go, but Dak Prescott. I am not a big fan of Dak Prescott. Not because I don't think he's a good quarterback. I just think he's overhyped. Why do I think he's overhyped? 2017, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Pretty good year. 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Pretty darn good year. But here's multiple things you have to consider. Cowboys' defense is pretty good. Ezekiel Elliott. But sometimes Ezekiel Elliott was the main thing. Or he was hurt or not hurt. He had that whole weed thing. I don't remember if that was this last year or the year before that. I have brain damage sometimes. Not sometimes, but memory problems because of it sometimes. I can't remember what year that was. I'm pretty sure it was this last year. Regardless, I don't... And then that O-line is so good. I think he's good. I think he's better than Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson. I think he's better than Kirk Cousins. But I think that's about where he is. Andy Dalton. Hold up, I need to make a new tier. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. There you go. QB Purgatory. I spelt that wrong, didn't I? That's a U, not E. There we go. Purgatory. QB Purgatory. Just good enough to not need to be replaced. Just bad enough to need a new quarterback at the same time. He gets his own category just like Eli Manning. Because clearly they could replace Eli Manning. They got Daniel Jones. If you see some of the pictures, a young clone. So we got QB Purgatory for Andy Dalton. Oh, perfect. That fits the screen even better now. Actually, I'm going to put that above God Awful just because God Awful, it's the worst here no matter what your opinion is. Now we're going to put it below. Never mind. QB Purgatory. And then Big Ben. I'll put him bottom of the B tier. You know who else I'm going to put? Actually, I'm going to move some more guys. Nah. Okay, that was a joke. I'm so funny, I know. Yeah, no. In actuality, because if I put QB Purgatory, I would have to put like every D and F tier quarterback that's not young. Andy Dalton. I'd say, you know, probably worse than Rosen, mainly on potential, because this guy has a phenomenal offense around him when it's healthy. He has Tyler Eifert, he has A.J. Green, Joe Mixon. I believe Giovanni Bernard's still there. Good team, just when it's healthy, they're mediocre. When it's not, they suck. The Ginger Rocket, or the Red Rocket, I'd say is in the D tier. I don't know exactly if he's going to stay in that grading system. Jared Goff. Love me some Jared Goff. He's one of my favorite young quarterbacks. But part of me just doesn't see him being in that B tier, but part of me does. I think he's going to be lower B tier. Now for the rearranging of things. Yes, I think Russell Wilson's the second best quarterback in the league. Deal with it. Patty Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck. That was, wow. Luck, yeah, I'm smart. I can't even blame anything for why I said Clark. Anyways, Andrew Luck, Matt Ryan. Who do I think is better? I think I gotta give the edge to Matt Ryan, I gotta give the edge to Matt Ryan for being the lower, purely because Andrew Luck has done more with less talent. They both have really good O-lines, in my opinion. Colts, I think, have worse receivers, even though I think T.Y. is a great receiver. I think Julio's miles ahead of him. Even though Julio can't score. It's an interesting situation. I think Jared Goff's better than Big Ben. But not better than Phillip Rivers. I don't think he's better than Phillip Rivers. I think he's pretty darn close to Phillip Rivers. I'm not a big fan of Big Ben, mainly because he's had a lot of talent throughout his years. He's had either phenomenal defenses, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace. He's pretty much his entire career had good talent around him. And yet, really has only been to... He won a Super Bowl, which good for him. He's one of the youngest quarterbacks, so good for him. And the other year, Aaron Rodgers just massacred him. It was a good game, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really into football, but I just voted for the Steelers because everyone else wanted the Packers to win. So I was like, yeah, no idea who's on the Steelers, but I'm going for them. By the way, I'm a young bloomer. The first quarterback I actually watched preseason of was this guy. First preseason game was this guy's rookie year, and I'm like, yeah, it's my favorite quarterback. Why? His number's 3. It's my favorite number. Yeah, now he's an elite quarterback. I called it on that one. Everyone else said the Seahawks got an F grade for that draft. I said nay, purely because Russell Wilson, he's short like me, and he's got my favorite number. That's good enough. Now I'm a lot more football savvy. Not amazing, but smart enough. I mean, I should be going to be doing this for radio next season. Not for the NFL, but still doing it for money, so I can't complain. Yeah, Yeah, Eli's in the god-awful. That's staying that way. I think... Statistically, I think Joe Flacco's going to do worse than Jameis, but I think he's better than Jameis. Sorry, I just do not like Jameis. And I was a big supporter of Jameis. I mean, just don't think he's doing as well. I think Trubisky below Carr, just because Carr, I think, is going to get more used to this Gruden system. And they didn't replace him, so there's less stress on him. Or more because there's still potential they could replace him. I don't know. I'm thinking Kyler Murray is better than Nick Foles. Sorry, I don't think Nick Foles is what everyone hyped him up to be. Probably going to move him below Case Keenum. Honestly, I'm probably going to put Josh Rosen above both of them. Just because I think it's tough, because if he clicks with that system, he's going to be above them. If he doesn't, he's going to be in the F tier. That's just how it works. It's a new team, new coach, new scheme. I think he'll do better. I just don't know how much better. It could be literally one touchdown more and the same amount of interceptions for all I know. It'd still be an improvement, but, not exactly. I might even put the Red Rocket above these two just because I know for a fact how he's probably going to perform, because he's pretty consistent. He's a consistent mediocrity. And Josh Rosen, Case Keenum, Kyler Murray, Mitch Trubisky, Derek Carr, that's fine. Lamar, I think Lamar could be in that upper B tier by the time he's done developing, but for right now, I think he's going to probably jump past this group. I think he's going to jump past this group. Unless, one of either Wentz or Prescott, develops more. But I think we kind of see what they are at this point. Maybe they'll have another spurt of development. But I don't see them. I can see them being... Stafford, I don't see improving at all. For these guys, it's kind of, can you get out of that averageness? I really don't think so. I don't think Stafford could develop above that. I don't think Cousins could. Prescott, Wentz, Watson, Jackson, maybe Cam Newton can jump into that B tier. By the way, like I said, the A club for me is not just elite, because I would say some of the upper Bs are elite, like Mahomes, Rodgers, Luck's borderline elite, Ryan's borderline elite, Mayfield's borderline elite. But the A is day in, day out, they're going to be elite. They're going to carry their team no matter what and be good. Can't say that about Rodgers every year. Not anymore. He's a pretty good team, and yet somehow they're not that good. I don't know what it is. The Seahawks versus the Packers, for example. Granted, I mean, the Packers have won all of their home games as well. We have beaten them 4 times. They've beaten us 3. But in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, we have a perfect record. 2-0, I think, against them in the playoffs. I could be mistaken. But Brady, Breeze, I think that's pretty obvious. They are every year. Even though Brady had an off year, his off year is still considered top tier. Rodgers, he doesn't throw picks, but I don't think he's, top tier. I don't think he can win MVP. I think my A tier are like MVP contenders guaranteed. Like Mahomes, Mayfield, I've seen they're pretty high up on the Vegas odds for MVP. I think that's crap because you don't know how they're going to perform in their second year. By the way, Mahomes, think he's a great quarterback. I love that pick. Mayfield, think he's going to be an elite quarterback. Love that pick. I don't think it should be a Vegas odd that they're going to be MVPs. For all you know, they could just have a sophomore slump. I hate how people think Mahomes won't have one because this isn't his rookie year, or wasn't his rookie year. Okay, now guys know what Mahomes did. Mahomes was electric in the beginning half. All of a sudden, he started sputtering. They were saying he's on track to get like 60-plus touchdowns. That slowed down real quick once teams knew to watch out for Holmes and game plan against him. Still did pretty well. Made to the playoffs. Won a couple playoff games against Lamar Jackson, a rookie. I believe it was Lamar Jackson. Ooh, shoot, I just launched my phone trying to Google that. Forget that. Regardless. Mahomes, I think he's borderline. I think he's a B+, maybe a B++. I don't think there's anything else I want to change, so I think that's my list. And you know what? If you want to see more of these, I'm probably going to do one more of these videos here later. But if you like this video, like it. If you don't just dislike it. Let me know why. We can have a healthy debate. I actually want comments that are like, you're wrong about this, because I want to be able to have an open debate. Because I'm actually lenient on moving some of these people up or down. So just let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Jumbles. You've been amazing. And as always, deuces.